Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we are going to continue on with my Epic Waterloo project updates. In my last update, I said it was going to be a while before I do any more updates. Well, I can't resist. I have to give you these updates. I'm giving you these updates whenever I discover anything new, or if I get a shipment in, or if I work on my project. These updates come out sometimes faster than once a week. I try to get them off at least once every other week, but lately I've been cranking out these updates, keeping you informed, letting you know what's going on with my project. All right, so I just uploaded a couple of videos. One of them was I did a test on different flocks and scatter ground cover on trees and on limbers and troops. Basically, just the micro scale. Static grasses, which ones cover the bases the best, things like that. Okay, and so these are some of the results of that test, but I brought these out here so that I could compare them to some of these other figures that I have. I just got a shipment in today, some Magister Militum figures. These are 10 millimeter Napoleonics. I had also gotten in a shipment of GHQ 10 millimeter N scale super detailed Napoleonics, and these 15 millimeter figures I've already had for a while, and I want to kind of compare these figures to each other, and also to the terrain and the trees and stuff like that. All right, so we're gonna do that. In another video, I will actually do a deeper comparison of these figures as a general like scale figure manufacturer comparison video, and it won't be labeled as my Epic Waterloo project update. It'll just be aimed at anybody that's interested in comparisons. But I'm going to wait to do that comparison until probably, okay, I don't really know, but I'm expecting some other figures to come in. So I have some Pendragon figures to come in, and I have some Old Glory figures to come in, all in 10 millimeter, just to see how they compare. Okay, I also have well, I've got a bunch to talk about today. I really do. Okay, so I just finished another video. That was one video, the flocking. I have another video where I show how I made these road pieces for my Quatre Bras and my Waterloo battlefields, but I could also use them for any battlefields like Corunna Bay or Salamanca, any Napoleonic battle. And actually, I can use them for any battle, even moderns. I can use them for sci-fi. I can use them for whatever. I've decided to go away from the bespoke battle maps, the ones that have the battle map printed or painted or drawn onto the map itself. And this way I can use like a generic green cloth with terrain positioned in different places for different battles. So I've decided to go ahead and go in that direction. All right, so I cut out a bunch of these 60 millimeter wide boards to be these roads, but I also cut out a bunch of shorter ones because I was thinking that I was going to turn these into river pieces. I was going to make them a little, I was going to build up, you know, how these have the flock on the side. I was going to build up a river bank on both sides, leaving a valley in the middle. I was not going to have it go the full 40 millimeters. I was going to maybe go 30 or 20 millimeters, giving the banks some real serious thickness. And then I was going to curve it to give it like a natural contour throughout the river. And I was going to make a bunch of these as the main river that goes across Quatre Bras and the rivers that are near Plansnois. But I've decided I'm not going to do that. I've decided I'm going to use these for something else, possibly other roads or other terrain pieces, or I'm gonna cut them in a different way to make them a curve road or a curve, whatever. I'm gonna use them for other things. Okay, so I also cut out a lake for Quatre Bras, right? So this area in the middle is going to be the actual lake. It's going to leak out this way and this way. The plan was to use these to get the river that comes off of this. Maybe make one of these as a swampland area that attaches to the lake. And then over here on this side, there's going to be like a T intersection, but the plans have changed. The lake, no problem. That hasn't changed at all. But the plan is, I went to a website called, now I don't even remember what it's called. Wargame Bases or Battle Bases or something Bases. What I'll do is I'll put it on here during editing to make sure you guys know exactly what website it is. But basically, they sell figure bases. They also sell buildings, MDF laser cut buildings in 10 millimeter. So I ordered about 10 of those. The biggest one that I ordered has a footprint of 2 inches, and that's why I got, or 50 millimeters. That's why I got one of these tokens out, or one of these bases out, because I'm going to use it in a demonstration here in just a second. But they also sell rivers that you can buy. They're basically laser cut MDF board, just like the ones I have there, but they already have the curves built into them. Plus, there's one that has a Y intersection. I got that. They have curves, and they have they have a gentle curve, and then they have a sharp curve. They have a bunch of different ones, and they have some straightaways. I'm gonna convert. Basically, I ordered that set. That should come in, and if I don't have enough, which I might or might not have enough of those, because I only ordered like a small collection of them, but if I don't have enough of those to cover Quatre Bras or Plansnois, then I'll use the ones that I personally cut to make those rivers. Okay, great. While I was cutting, I also decided I'm just going to go ahead and cut my own city templates, my own town sectors, right? And these town sectors, I'm going to bevel the edges, and I'm going to texture these and make these like maybe put a fence line along the edge, maybe a stone wall around the edge, maybe a hedge, maybe put a tree or two on there. You know, I could actually mount the tree on the base itself. just a variety of different things. But I was also going to put buildings on these bases, and all these templates here are different building templates that I like. This one is a 70 by 40 house. This one is like a 70 by 35 stable. I got a bunch of these from that website called Battle Space. And the Battle Space, I think it's Battle Space, Battle Scale, Battle. I'll put the link down here as well. They make a bunch of resin buildings, and they look like they're going to be top-notch, high-quality buildings, but they have a limited selection, right? They only have about 5 to 6 buildings in the Napoleonic period, and then they've got about 5 or 6 buildings in the American War of Independence or Civil War period. So they don't have a huge selection in each category, but that's okay because I got about 5 of them, and then I also got about 10 from the MDF. So I'm going to have like 15 buildings, and that should be enough just with those 2 companies for the entire Battle of Waterloo or Quatre Bras. Okay, so I'm going to put these off to the side because the most important one is the biggest building that I am getting, which has a 2x2 footprint. Okay, and so we're going to leave that there. I'm slowly getting rid of this stuff. Okay. Okay, so these 3 packets here I opened up, and I've already washed my models, and I trimmed a few down so that they would actually stand on bases. This is a Prussian Landwehr pack. I don't expect to use that soon. I'm going to finish Quatre Bras first, and then I'll start working on that. But again, this selection of miniatures, the Magister Militums, the GHQ, the Old Glory, and the Pendragon miniatures, I only ordered a very small selection, like this much from each company, just so I can compare the figures and kind of get an idea of which way I want to go. All right, so just as my first comparison, this is an Old Glory 15 millimeter Napoleonic cannon. I went ahead and mounted it on a 30 by 40 base, lengthwise, like Black Powder requests. I know that there are other companies that would request me to mount my cannon this way, like Napoleon's Battles, or maybe even ESR or something. I'm not sure exactly, but I know that in Black Powder, specifically the Epic box set, says to mount them 30 by 40 lengthwise like this, and then you would put your gun on there and your 4 crew. Right now, I don't have to put 4 crew. I mean, in Napoleon's Battles, what we would do is we would use 2 crew for a horse gun or a 6 millimeter gun, and then we would use 3 crew for a heavy gun, like a 20 pound. Like a 12 pounder, right? So you'd have 3 guns or 3 men for like a 12 pounder, and like 2 guys for a 6 pounder. But in Black Powder, and most other games I've noticed want you to put like 4 figures on a base as a crew. It just looks more active. It looks better. 15s will fit on this base, but in comparison, this is a French gun it came out of what's called a French sample pack for GHQ. The French sample pack gives you like 2 mounted riders, 5 men, and a gun. And that was enough for me to kind of see. I didn't really necessarily need to get these other units, but by getting these other units, I kind of learned some things, and I'm glad I did get them. But you can see there's a big difference in the size. Here, let me just take the guys off. We're going to compare sizes later. But and you can see that, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a ton. This is also a 30 by 40, which most of the 10 millimeter games that I've seen don't recommend a deep base. 30 by 30 is all you need, right? But a 30 by 40 is more of a black powder scale. Plus, it represents a different number of guns. I've noticed that, like, I'm using ESR as an example. It represents a not a battery, like more than, like a lot of guns, like a battery, maybe a battery, where Bolt Action recommends 2 or 3 guns representing a battery. So if it was 2 guns bases wide, it is in comparison actually a wider base than what the ESR would recommend, right? So basing it sideways like that would be kind of the same as black powder basing 2 guns side by side. Okay, but I'm going with the 2 guns side by side. I'm going with 2 gun batteries. And if it is a half battery, then just use 1 gun. Okay, so I'm going to take the guys off just for a second. And these are all different. Like some of these, like one of them's a Voltigeur, one of them's an officer, one's a drummer, one's a Fusilier, and one is a sapper. So you get actually a pretty good selection here. When I got this sample gun from the sample pack, it came with like this sprue here with a bunch of cannon barrels on it. I guess they just grabbed a bunch of things and threw them in there. And then we'll talk about the cavalry here in just a second. But this is Napoleonics. Okay, so this gun is GHQ considers this to be 10 millimeters. And if Old Glory considers this to be 15 millimeters, wow, that's a big difference. Okay, we're talking, it almost looks like half the size almost. Almost. Yeah, that works. Okay, now this side is my millimeters. I know that on a previous video I used inches, this inch section, thinking it was millimeters, and I was just basically stupid. Okay, so this is the millimeter side. If I was to just measure the wheels, right, we're looking at 13.5, 14 millimeters for that wheel circumference. And that's 15 millimeters. Now on the 10 millimeter one, you're looking at 9 millimeters. Okay, so the wheel circumference on that one is 9. So 9 is just a little bit short of 10. If this is 13, that is a little short of 15. So maybe they are accurately to scale to each other. But just as a glance, a casual, just look at these figures, they seem to be very close to 6mm. I mean, I'm looking at these, and I also have seen a bunch of GHQ micro armor infantry, and they seem to be very comparable in size. Very thin, no meat on their bones kind of models. Using the centimeter side? Yes. Okay, I might have, this guy might be like 11mm. Maybe even 12. Okay. Let's take a look at this officer, because he's standing straight up. $11mm. Okay. So the GHQ are close to 11mm, in my opinion. That's okay. 11mm is good. I still don't know how big my epic models are going to be when they come in from Warlord. I really want to use the epic scale, but I think I might be doing everything in 10mm. As you all know, I'm really looking forward to 10mm. 15mm just seems to be too big. This, I mean, it's a good size for wargaming. I mean, it really is. You know, if I was using one gun as a battery, then 15mm would be good. I guess it doesn't matter if I'm using the exact same size base. And then these are 10mm Magister Militum figures. And as you can see, on a 30mm frontage, I was actually able to get 5 figures in the front and in the back rank without too much trouble. Now here comes another thing. I was noticing the cavalry, right? I got some Polish Lancers. These could be Dutch Lancers as well. It's just however I wish to paint them up. They fit, and I wanted to do 3 figures. If you watched my updates, you know how I wanted to do it. I was considering a larger base, like maybe a 40mm base, to be able to put 3 cavalry on there. If I was to take 3 cavalry and put it on a 40mm base, they would be spread out quite a bit, right? But I want them to be tighter than that. I want them to kind of look like a fighting formation. And so I decided to, this is just me going through my thought process. I said, why don't I just use a regular infantry size base, you know, a 30mm by 20mm base, and then see if 3 figures would fit on it. And as you already know, because you just saw it ahead of time, 3 cavalry figures will fit on a 20 by 30 pretty easily if I use 10mm, right? These epic figures, I think, are going to be 13mm. So I think they're going to be about halfway between these and these. And if that's the case, I don't know how I'm going to be able to, I don't know how they're going to fit front to back on a 20mm base. Looking at this base here, and looking at the way the figures are standing and the amount of figures you get on an epic sprue, these guys must be pretty close to the exact same size. They gotta be. These guys have got, these are also militants. Magister Militum. This is the other group of them. They come 12 in a pack. So that's awesome. That means I can use 3 on a base and use 4 bases, just like I'm doing with my infantry, right? But on infantry, I'm doing 10 on a base, but still doing 4 bases. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go that route. Well, we don't know yet. I haven't made any commitments yet, but right now that's what I'm leaning towards. And when I get to painting them, which I think I'm going to paint them this month, that's probably going to be the first group of guys I paint, just to get my feet wet on 10mm models. I have a group of British right here, but these are British lights, so they have the stovepipes, and these are all from GHQ, and I have some Nassau troops, which we're going to talk about their standard bearer here in just a minute. But I've decided I'm going to get away from the 20x40, so none of my models, even my Cav, is going to be bigger than 30mm, right? So everything's going to be 30. So on the roads that I've made, everything's going to fit. Even the limbers. When I get my 10mm limbers, I'm just going to put them on my 30mm wide bases, and I'm going to have a pretty good limber that goes right up and down these roads, even in 10mm. Okay. Now the French sample pack came with this gun, right, and about 5 guys, and with, okay, you saw the cavalry here. Great. Let's just go ahead and kind of set that off just a little bit. Let's take this gun off, and this infantry, we can hold on to infantry, and this off. I just want to kind of organize a little bit. Right. This pack here of infantry is Dutch Belgians, and that's what's mounted here, are the Magister Militums Dutch Belgians. They will not fit. If I take the figure out of the bag and I put it on the base, I can only get 4 figures across. But looking at the figure closely, there is about 2mm extra on both sides of this figure. So by taking my snippers and I cut off the sides of the bases, they were able to be pushed in closer, and I was able to get 5 on the front. Okay, so far so good. The GHQ figures require no snipping because they are standing in a way where they will fit on a base. You'll actually, because they're thinner in body style, they can just, but like if they're advancing, it's more rectangular to the front, right? I could probably get 6 guys on the front with the GHQ, but which tells me, just without doing any math, that these guys are going to be smaller than those guys. I have not laid them side by side to actually compare, but we're going to take just a take this guy down, take this guy down. I want to get the Dutch Belgian officer, and I'm going to put him side by side with the French officer, and their heights are almost exactly the same. I mean, I don't know, you can't really see that. The heights are almost exactly the same, but okay, maybe I shouldn't use him. He's a grenadier. Okay, hold on. Here's the officer. Okay, yeah, because the grenadier has a bearskin cap, which is like super tall. Yeah, they're still okay. They're about, but you can see how thick this model is compared to this other model, how thick it is. This guy is a meaty miniature, and that's why I had to trim off the sides of his base. Now his base is about the same size as the GHQ. They're the same height, but that doesn't mean they're the same size. This guy looks like he's about 100 pounds. This guy looks like he's about 200 pounds. You know, it's a weight ratio thing. Yeah, so if I was to measure and be a little bit more precise, and remember, this is not actually the comparison. Yeah, this guy is closer to 12 millimeters. Yeah, okay. So this guy's about 1 mil. If this guy is 11 millimeters, this guy is 12 millimeters. So what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that my GHQ is not going to be big enough to compare. I don't think it's going to be big enough to compare to my epics when they come in. The Magister Militums still might be a little too short, because if this is 12 and they're 13.5s, it's still going to be about the same difference as 15s compared to the epics. Now, but the difference here is the 15s, there was no way I could get 5-man fronts on a 30 millimeter base with 15s. Even if I put them as close to possible as everything, I probably, if I really trimmed and cut and squeezed, I might have been able to get 4 across, but that would have been way harder than... Now, 3 across is definitely a go. That's a standard formation for these guys, fitting on a base. But when you're in a fighting position, like these guys are considered skirmishing, there's no way I could have put 6 skirmishers on a base. I wouldn't anyway. I probably should have only put 2, but I put 3, just kind of because I knew I could get 3 wide. So that's what that is. So instead of going up a scale, I think to fill out my unusual units, I'm going to have to go down a scale. That's what I'm thinking. And that's why I'm thinking 10 millimeter Magister Militums. Okay, because now that I've gotten them in, I can see that I can get 5 across on a 30 millimeter base, but it's going to take a little bit of trimming, which is perfectly fine. Okay, now the only cavalry I have right now is, of course, the 15 millimeter limber horses, but I also have the Lancers, right? These Polish Lancers with their lance and everything. And this is a one-figure sculpt, right? It's the man is on the horse, the lance is in his hand. Looking at these look a lot like the epic models, right? Pose-wise. But in the GHQ, remember the French sample pack, it did come with a couple of horses and horse riders. One of them is a hussar, right? And I'm going to take the hussar off and just kind of compare the horse itself. And the GHQ 10 millimeter horse and the Magister horses are exactly the same size. They're same length, same height, everything's the same. you put the guy on the horse, you cannot tell that it's like there's any discrepancy in scale. He keeps coming off. Maybe I should glue him down. I don't want to. Didn't want to. Just wanted to, because I just opened it up an hour or so ago. Because these guys are meatier, thicker, it makes their figure look like it's actually a different scale than these. But in fact, if you're just going by height, they're the same. But this it has bigger muscles, bigger gut, bigger chest, making these models bigger. The smaller models, the little pieces like the swords and the plumes tend to break. So I've been very cautious about that. The officer model, which I thought was kind of unusual, is actually a 3-piece horse. It's a horse with a broke back, right? I mean, I don't know if you can see that. There you go, broke back. But it comes with a saddle that fills that broke back. So now my guess is, depending on what kind of unit or what kind of officer or whatever, you might get a different saddle piece. And then this officer sits down directly on that saddle piece. And that's a good looking model. I'll compare it up close in one of my future videos. But comparing it to the Cavalry, they're very comparable. They're very comparable in size. This guy's just thinner. Some companies would call that realistic scale, which means it's not thickened up to provide sturdiness or a war game ability or whatever. But I actually like the thickness. I think that makes the model stand out, or it makes the guy look stronger and tougher. Okay. Okay, so far, Cavalry is going to go on, if I wind up going primarily with this manufacturer or this scale, the 10 millimeter, I'm going to use 30 millimeter bases for my Cavalry as well. Okay. So far so good. I think I'm going to do the Lancers coming up soon. I think they're the ones I'm going to paint. Okay. So before I go into the next step, let's talk about my cityscapes, my city zones, or whatever, town sectors. There we go. That's what we call them. Remember, this video is going to go on long. If you need to break this video up into a couple of portions, watch it over the next couple of days. That would be cool. If you like my content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to help me get more product in to do more comparisons and things like that, then support the channel through either the PayPal me link in the description below or through the donate button. Okay, so my French sample pack, good. I got all my French samples in there, great. Those are crew. Okay, all that's good out of the way. Town sector. The biggest building that I know of that I got is a 50 by 50. Yes, I know I did get a long one. Okay. I got a 50 by 50, but I also got a 70 by 40. And so, plus a bunch of other smaller ones. So I was really needing to concern myself with the biggest ones. Okay. So a 70 by 40, if this was the house, it could fit. And even if I beveled the edges, right, and I give it a little bit of an overlap with a beveled edge, a unit of 4, and that's these bases here, could easily fit on this town sector with beveled edges. Okay, and so we got a unit of 4 on a 70 by 40. But then I thought about it. I said, okay, well, a 50 by 50 is not exactly a 70 by 40 because it takes up less on one side, more on the other. Would I still be able to get a unit? Well, I'm not sure. Let's find out. Okay. It might be tight to get a unit on this side. When I go to mount the house on there, I might need to get it a little closer to the beveled edge, or not bevel an edge and get the house right up to the edge of it. I don't want to do that. I want to make sure I bevel the edges, but I might bevel the edge a little bit less so that I could put a infantry troop in there. But I might not need to even think about that. I might be able to just move the house somewhere centralized or not, because I think I can get a unit in like that. Or I also thought about if I wanted to have troops facing in 4 different directions, I could have a unit there. I could have a unit there. And I could have maybe 2 units up there, something like that. Or even if I have to, something like that. But it looks like a 3 by 4 is going to be no problem. There are a couple of fantasy buildings that this company makes that are way bigger, but this is Napoleonic, so I didn't get those fantasy buildings, you know. And I got those in 10 millimeter. Even if I use the epic scale figures, if I wind up using epic scale figures, 10 millimeter buildings will still be the way to go, because you want your buildings, or at least I do, I want my buildings to be downscaled for the footprint on the battlefield. I know a lot of people talk about, use the 1-to-1 ratio, but then it would represent one building. And I've already discussed this probably 100 times on my channel and updates. Okay, got the town sectors out of the way, the buildings and the building sizes. How long is that going to take for those to get in? I don't know. I'm not in any rush. I'm really not going to really start on this project in earnest until January. December, which it's already the 10th, so it's already 1/3 gone. So what I'm working on right now is all the planning and terrain building before I get to actually making the troops. Okay. This light infantry pack, even though it says all companies, it doesn't come with a command element. No command element, so there's no standard bearer. Okay. The Nassau from GHQ does have a standard bearer. But what's cool about it, what's extremely cool about it, is there's no flag pole. I don't remember where this guy is. He's buried deep, probably. There's a couple of them. So I could actually make 2 command elements. Here you go. This is the dude. I can make 2 command elements. You have 2 hands. You've got the upper and lower hands that would grip a pole. So now I can take any of my spears that I have, and I can make a flagpole this long if I want, and or this long or however long, and I'll be able to use my 15 millimeter miniatures. Let me rephrase that. I'll be able to use my 15 millimeter flags on these Nassau, no problem. I would not be able to do that on these Prussian Landwehr, because they come with pre-molded flags. Okay, so it's hit or miss on the Prussians, but with the pre-molded flags, I could just paint the flag and everything would be good anyway. Okay, so that's the Old Glory. That's the GHQ. I keep saying Old Glory, but that's the GHQ. Those guys. GHQ British might, or I don't know, I don't have them, but I have a feeling that they're going to have a flagpole and it's probably going to be too short. I'm just guessing. But in the cavalry and these guys are Belgian infantry, the flagpole. Now I have Brunswick up here. These are looks like the avant-garde. They've got the hats that fold up on the side, so they probably don't have a standard anyway, so who cares? And these guys here are rocket troops. Yeah, I'm excited to put these together for my rocket battery. Okay. Let's talk flags. I really like the Fighting 15 flags. I don't know, you've seen me do some reviews of them. Here's a Fighting 15 Nassau flag, right? And I was like, oh no, it's a Nassau flag. All these flags look like they're the same size, so I should be able to compare it to any one of these flags. And then basically I just took the 10mm dude and I laid his flagpole next to these flags, and there's just enough room from his hand to the top of the flagpole. That's going to work. The Fighting 15s are going to work. Imagine this figure on the table. Okay, you can't see, but imagine this figure on the table with this flag. Wait, this guy's not Nassau. He's Belgian. Okay, hold on. But either way, the Nassau flags work. 7th Belgian line, right? That's who these guys are supposed to be. Works perfect. It's the same size, actually. So 15mm will definitely work with that model. And I don't feel, once I get them painted and glued together, I will definitely put the 15mm flag on there. And you will see that I don't see a problem with that flag and that troop. I think it's going to look awesome. I really do. I hope it looks really awesome. Okay. But then I thought, well, French flags. These guys are Polish or Dutch Lancers. So I got my cavalry where you got the Dutch Lancers. You got the Empress Dragoons and all that other stuff. But this is GMB. And I looked at this flagpole right here. The flagpole has a little streamer piece that hangs down from the eagle. I might have to trim that off or cut it in a way where I can fold it up and then put the flag on and then fold it down to preserve the streamer. That's going to be finicky because I don't want to break this flagpole. Yeah, but taking these GMB flags and this Polish Lancer 15's going on there pretty good. 15mm flag is going to look awesome. I think I'm going to cut those streamers off, just trim them off because I don't need them. And the eagle looks pretty cool. And these 15mm cavalry flags are going to work just fine on these 10mm models. Okay, so I have my hopes up. The British and the French are the ones that I'm really concerned about, because the British, I'm using the Fighting 15s, but their flags are... Let's get one of these sheets. Or Hanover, because I think Hanover has the same size flag. But the British ones just seem to be... extremely large. So like hypothetically, if I was using this same Dutch-Belgian guy, not with his own flag, but with a British flag, there's no way. I couldn't do it, right? It would definitely not fit. Well, no, hold on. Where's his hand? Yeah, there's about this much space, which is about 1 millimeter, maybe 2 millimeters, that won't work. So I would have to use a pin vise. I'd have to cut this flagpole off. I could probably cut just a small hole, not all the way through his hand, but just enough where I could stick the flagpole down in there, and with a good amount of super glue, putty, prayer, it'll probably stay in, and then I would be able to use these flags on a 10 mil fig like this. Where's his hand? Yeah, just imagine that man carrying that flag. It would be pretty awesome, impressive on the table. But it also might just be too big. It's a little bit of experimenting going to have to go on with that. The British guys that I ordered, I did order some command from some other companies like Old Glory and Pendragon. If they come in and their British standard poles are long enough, then I'll know who to order my command stands from. If they're not, I'm going to look at all the different command stands and see which ones are the easiest to modify with a long pole. Because once you put that giant flag on there and you start bending it down like it's blowing in the wind or the gravity is pulling it down, it's not going to be like this giant banner behind the dude. It's going to be kind of wrapped maybe a little bit behind him. It's going to be down. So it's not going to be... I don't think it's going to be obnoxious. I hope. Okay, so flags, 10 guys on a base, no problem. Got my... oh yeah, just looking at different trees with 10 millimeter, that's going to look just fine. That's going to look just fine, right? So big, small, they all look good. All right. Oh yeah, more news. Okay, we're talking about 20 by 30 for cavalry instead of the 20 by 40s. I'm not going to do the 20 by 40s for cavalry. I did get in something as a thought exercise. I got in a couple of books from ESR, which for those of you that know or don't know, ESR is tabletop rules for the Napoleonic Wars. This is a pretty sizable book. They had a special on their site, on their website, and you might be able to take advantage of it. But if you order a campaign book, right? This is a campaign guide called Master of the World. If you order a campaign book, you get the rules for free. In my case, for some reason, I ordered the campaign book, and then I got the rules for only $20. But I think the reason why that was the campaign book was $20 off. So basically, I got both of these for the original cost of a campaign book. But if you need just any one of the campaign books, they have some on sale. This is 1812 in Russia. I just looked at to see what campaign books they had in stock, because some of them were out of stock, and which ones I might consider as an alternative to what I'm doing now. And so I said, okay, let's get the Russian one. That might be pretty cool, mainly just so I can get the rule book. Okay, well, the rule book is kind of unique. It's got the rule binding here, like the way it is. Am I ever going to play these rules? I don't know. But I got them in to kind of see some of their concepts and ideas, and I might be able to glean some stuff from this. And when I put my armies together, I can maybe use the same bases and the same units and stuff to use these rules on a different scale, and with a different die rolling convention and stuff like that. And here's some of their other campaign books. It looks like 1805, 1809, 1812, and then 1813. And I think most like that's probably Prussia, and then this is Russia and Austria. I'm waiting for them to do a campaign book for the 100 Days battle. You know, the Waterloo battles. I'm really excited for them to maybe do that, and they're probably working on that. I would suspect they are. But when I got this in, I was like, why is this so heavy? This is a freaking hardback book. This sucker is ginormous. You can see how thick it is. This is a textbook. It's got a lot of colors. It's got a lot of painting guides, uniform guides, tons of them. Yeah, I mean, it goes on for days. Like, there's even Austrians, Prussians, Swiss. You know, of course, it has Prussians. I'm sorry, not Prussians. Portugal, for some reason. Portuguese. Vistula Legion. And then cavalry units, and French, and cuirassier, and line units, and the light units, and the lancers, and the guard, and they have a lot of stuff. Even the Mamelukes from 1812, right? So a lot of this might have changed, might not have changed. But, and then it talks about, okay, where is it at? There we go. All the different units that participated, that if you wanted, and then there's scenarios. Like, here's Borodino, where the troops go, placement of troops. Yeah, like that's a 6x8 table. They even give you like, hey, this is expert difficulty, and you know, the battle map and the 1 foot squares. I like how it gives you the units and their placement and the maps for different battles. But okay, well, let's get to the very beginning of the book. Okay, using the rosters, like how to read the rosters, obviously. But linking the scenarios so you can play a campaign, how, you know, you can play what battles in what order to get a complete campaign, and then how to count the points at the end, how to read the maps, how many players they recommend for each battle, because it's different, which I thought was pretty cool. How many miles the map is, and then depending on the scale in yards that you're using, like what I'm using is a 50-1, right? So if I was using a 50-1, Borodino would be on an 18 by 24 table. That's right there. That's pretty big. So in that case, I might use 100 or 150 and get like a 6 by 8 table. That still doesn't fit on my table because I've got 5 by 9, right? I would have to play a 200 to get Borodino on there. But some of their small battles, like yeah, so you can upscale or downscale your tables, just knowing what scale you're playing in. But yeah, that book is heavy. 5 pounds. I don't know. It's super heavy. I could exercise lifting this book up. Okay, so I was happy with that, but I haven't read any of this yet. I just kind of glanced through it. Thought I'd let you know. Am I changing from bolt action? I'm sorry, black powder? No. It's just that I was using that as an alternative, as a understanding, or just as just to learn the rules, and then maybe play a few games of that just to see if it's any good. But that reminds me of Napoleon's Battles, which is a brigade scale game and not a battalion scale game. And I don't want to play brigade scale games, even though you can't really do a big battle like Borodino or Leipzig unless you do a brigade scale. But if I tried to play Leipzig in the battalion scale, there's no way. I would need to own a basketball court and have like 16 tables. All right, so in final note, I did buy a lime green furry tablecloth. It's basically going to have like a 2mm pile on the fur, but lime green is that color, and that's not a good color for a table. So I went ahead and ordered an OD. It might be this color, but hopefully it's this color. It might be that color, but that's okay. I just don't like this super bright green. So I ordered that. That should be in this weekend. I'll show it off. And rivers, I'm not going to do. I said I was going to do it, but I got Gizo coming in this weekend. The Gizo I'm going to use to turn the water into like a thick water effect, like I did back for my Operation Market Garden maps that I did. And yeah, so I'm basically not going to make any river tiles until those river boards come in pre-cut. Awesome. When I get those buildings in, I'm going to show those off. When I get the Old Glory and the Pendragon figures in, I'm also going to compare them to these guys. By then, these Cavalry or these Belgians should already be finished. I'm not sure which one I want to do first. But I'm going to popsicle stick these guys probably tonight, and then I'm going to spray prime and start painting them tomorrow, and I'll let you know on the progress of these two units. Okay, one more thing. These guys came in a pack of something like 38 models. It's a really weird number. I think they advertised 36. Or it might be 38 because maybe I miscounted the officers or something like that. But this pack came with 38 models. And to make my battalion, I need 40 models. Well, that's a lie. I can tell you right now, that's already a lie. What I'm going to do is have 2 bases with the full 5-man front, 5 men back, so it's going to be 10 guys on a base on 2 of them, And then on the other two, I'm going to have 5-man fronts, but a 4-man back on both of these. And those 4 guys will be centered and spaced out, so it won't be very noticeable. Mainly because I don't want to buy a second bag of these just for 2 figures. You know what I'm saying? I could buy a couple, 3-4 bags of these and then make multiple battalions, or make a larger battalion with maybe 6 bases or something like that. But my scenario doesn't call for that, so I'm not going to. Now, I could put just a couple of British guys in there, because the Belgians and the British would normally look pretty close together. They would look very similar. But I also don't want to do that. So all my battalions might have 4-man ranks in the back. And that's just the way it's going to look. It's going to be 5 in the front, 4 in the back on 2 of them. Now I thought about, okay, speaking of which, I thought about making the command stand 4 in the front, because of the standard, or maybe 4 in the back because the standard might occupy enough of that space to kind of disguise the fact that there's only 4 guys in the back. We might do that. I noticed that on my GHQ models, you get 50 guys, right? And so 40 of them will go on these stands no problem. And then I'll have like 10 extra guys that I don't know what to do with. So I don't know. Now, not every company makes every nationality or every unit in that nationality, so I need to jump around to figure out which ones are the best cost per figure and best cost. And from what I'm looking at, it looks like Pendragon is probably the best for, no, not Pendragon is the best for artillery, I do believe. Artillery with limbers, because you can get an artillery, this is French only, that's what I'm looking at. The gun plus limber is cheaper with Pendragon. I think it's Pendragon. I'll just pull it up and look. Hang on, I did this math already. Yeah, right here, I did some math. I looked at Epic Warlord, how many cavalry you get in a box, not counting the cannon and the officer, just the cavalry, and how much the box costs. And it winds up being about 88 cents per cavalryman, where if I looked at Old Glory, you get 39 in a bag for $30. So first of all, it's cheaper monetarily. I do get less models, but just looking at the money cost, the initial investment, it's actually less. And it's 78 cents per cavalry. So it's actually cheaper in the long run, depending on, but you don't need to buy multiple bags or multiple boxes of the same cavalry, right? Because a lot of the different cavalry, except for maybe chasseurs. But okay, so the gun and crew, $291 is per man, because I'm saying I'm not even really counting the gun. But I think I combined the gun and the 4-man crew. So 12 guns with all their crew is $35, which is $292. And then this is how much limbers are: $5 each. That's pretty high, I think. $32 for 6 of them. Okay, now when I looked at GHQ, like these boxes that I have over here are only 50 man, and they cost $22, so they wind up being 44 cents per man. Where in Old Glory you get 100 men in a bag for $21. You can already see that's half the cost. 21 cents a man. That is still a little bit more expensive than Old Glory infantry, which looks like it's about 16 cents per infantryman. But these are metal, and they might be a closer. The 10 millimeter might be the scale that I'm going with, right? Even though that's just 16 cents per man is honestly cheaper, but not by much, because I'm having to pay $40 for 3 sprues. I'm considering the extra work that I have to put into the Epic to split them in half, and the fact that their scale is probably incorrect. So I'm weighing the extra work and the unique scale. Okay, so and this is the Magister Militums, 30 cents a guy. That's pretty. It's cheaper than GHQ, but it's higher than Old Glory. And I'm getting, it says 36, and like I said, that was only $11, right? These packs, like this pack of Belgian line that I got, was only 11 bucks. And so if I'm doing every unit for 11 bucks, that's fine. And if I split that in half, I'm going to be able to put 2 units out there for 20 bucks. You know, that's pretty good. Old Glory, Magister Militum, about the same cost, to be honest, per unit. That's what I'm saying. Now, Cav 71 versus 84 versus 78 per figure, it's about the same. But just looking at this number, you're getting 1 unit of Cav, right? That's the 12 figures you need. I don't need 15. I don't need 20. I only need 12. And it's 8.5 bucks. So a unit of Cav, 8.5 bucks. That's pretty good. If I was to go up here, I'm going to, even though it's, okay, that one's even more expensive. And that one's even more expensive. So, and then that's the gun and crew. 2 guns, $8.50. So you're looking at gun and crew. This one here is half the price, $4.25 compared to $6. Okay, the green that you see up here is the best deal for each of those categories, in my opinion. So the best deal for infantry is Old Glory. But again, they don't have every nation. Magister Militum doesn't have every nation, right? GHQ doesn't have every nation. When you look at Pendragon, they've got the best deals on everything but infantry. And you only get 30 guys in a bag. It's only $7.50 though. If I was to get, okay, so 3 units is 120 men. Is that right? Right. So 40 guys per unit times 3, 120 guys. I would need to buy 4 bags to even it out. So 4 bags of Pendragon would be perfect. I would have no extras, no wastage to make these units, right? And so it would be $7.50 times 4, but I'm looking at that 0.25 versus that 0.21. So 25 cents per figure, where it's 21 cents per figure. So Pendragon Infantry is not a bad deal if you're making whole brigades at a time, you know? Okay, so, which I'm going to be doing anyway, so Pendragon might be the way to go. And I just need to know how many command figures are intermixed in there. Because if I get 4 packs, I'm sorry, 3. Wait a second. 4 packs of 30 would only make 3 units. Okay, so, but that's okay. So 4 packs of 30 making 3 units, I would have to make sure that there was at least 3 command figures in there. Like for the British, you need 2 standard bearers per unit. So there would have to be 6 standard bearers. Yeah, so we'll figure that out. Okay, but in cav wise, I get 15 cav or 750. Okay, well, 15 cav is too many cav, so I am paying a little bit less than MM for a package. The cost per figure is way lower, but it doesn't matter because that's still only 1 unit. I would just have extra figures, and then I would have to figure out if I can use those extra figures. I can use them as runners or put them on, make them commanders or fill up other units or something like that. But I don't like wastage, but just cost per figure, this is a good one. I think MM Cav is going to work better. To be honest, I think that might be a good deal as well, just because you're only buying 1 unit at a time. No, wait, it's still cheaper. Never mind. Even though it's more figures, it's still way cheaper. It's like a whole $1 cheaper. Never mind. I'm willing to accept the wastage. Okay. Now, this right here is a gun and crew and limber, all included in one package. You notice their packages are all the same cost. This limber, I broke it off from a regular gun and crew, mainly just to see what the actual limber cost would be, comparatively to like MM or Old Glory. It's way cheaper if you buy the gun, the crew, and the limber together. If you buy the limber separately, you only get 2 of them for like $7.50. So I don't see why. And this is only French. This is not British. Didn't look at the British. But right there, you're only getting 2 guns for $7.50. So it winds up being with crew. So it's and a limber. Okay, so if you just get guns, you get 3 guns. So this one you get the extra limbers. This one you get an extra gun and crew. So just guns, $2.50, 4, 6, 5. It's still cheaper to go with Pendragon. I'm just hoping that the Pendragon models are nice. I'm just hoping they look good. Still waiting on my Old Glory packs of 100. Now the difference up here with Old Glory, you get command figures, but you only get 50. You get half as many for like $14 for half as many. So it's 2/3 the cost for half the figures for command. That's just something you'll have to decide if you like. From what I also can tell about the Old Glory, they come in strips of 5, so which is perfect. but I have to see if those strips will fit on my 30mm base convention. So right now I'm looking at Pendragon, Magister, Militums, and Old Glory for my items that I need. For French, that is. I'm going to have to look for British and price them out, but I bet you it's pretty close to the exact same. If it's not, it's no big deal. But GHQ just seems like they're a little bit more expensive. They're almost twice as expensive, but and the scale of the figures are just a little bit smaller. So I don't think I'm going to do much with the GHQ, to be honest. I only have the 2 officers. Well, I got the hussar and the officer, and they seem to be very, very comparable. So I might get some cav from them. But the only reason why I ordered the Nassau was I think they're the only ones that have the Nassau. So I'm going to have to look around to see exactly which company has the best models. And that's what this part of my project is. I think I'm just rambling now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you go, edit this video, and upload it. So thanks for coming out and checking out this video. Alright guys, I think you've heard me ramble on enough. Let me go ahead and trim these and put them on popsicle sticks so that I can prime them tomorrow and get to painting them and then getting to let you see what they look like once I get them finished. I also want to do a video, maybe tomorrow, where I compare these, or we take a close look at these figures so that you can kind of see the quality and the detail of those figures, maybe before I start painting. And that's what I'll do, that recording, and then at the end of that video I might show off the what they look like after they're painted. I think I might do that. That's going to be a longer form video and you won't see that right away. So yeah, all right, I will see you in the next video.